Hereby I grant you the gift of the highest powers. You will be able to think about every single thing and read and comprehend everything in the world. And you will speak and write beautiful and simple, tearful and funny, in verse and prose, in warmth and frost, in real life and in dreams, on the table, on the sand, with knife and pen, with hand, with tongue, laughing and in tears, in all languages. Hello and welcome to my Rulit YouTube series, where we talk about the 19th century Russian literature, particularly Russian fantasy stories. If you have come across my videos for the first time, please check out the previous episode where I talk about the magical world of Vladimir Adoevsky, where a little boy travels inside the music box to meet the bells, the hammers, and the mysterious overseer. Today, I want to talk to you about another Adoevsky's novella, The Improvisator, written in 1833, that came out as a part of his longer novel, Russian Nights. In this short story, set somewhere in Europe, probably in Italy, a young poet, Cipriano, while struggling with his poetic skills and yearning for a success and a young girl's love, decides to seek help from a doctor magician. Just a side note, the fact that this story is set in Italy is not something that you wouldn't see in Russian stories. Yes, that was actually very common to either set it somewhere in some generic European setting, or at least to give the characters explicitly non-Russian names. So that's one of those examples. The poet decides to seek help from a doctor magician. This doctor is famous for his incredible skills and his ability to cure any illness. However, there is always a cost. He took no money for treatment, and his unselfishness, combined with his marvelous art, might have attracted the sick of the whole world to him, had he not imposed strange conditions for curing them, such as to show him signs of respect which were as high as the meanest humiliation, to do some disgusting deed, to throw a considerable sum of money into the sea, to destroy his house, to leave the country, and so on. So, who is this doctor and what is his story? This is never revealed. However, in the best traditions of the Faustian pact with the devil, the doctor agrees to help the young poet on two conditions: that his ability will never leave him as long as he lives, and that he will be able to see, hear, and comprehend everything. While, as another tale says, a devil's bargain is always a fool's bargain, and the poor poet realizes it very, very soon, when his new magical skills also reveal some disturbing and debilitating side effects, if I may say so. Let us leave the story aside for a moment and talk about the broader context of its creation. Even though Dr. Sigeliel's, that's the name of the doctor, diabolic skills have little to do with the actual notion of medicine, the idea underneath Adoevsky's novella is still medicine related, or rather, it comes from the same field as medicine of the late 18th, early 19th century. Have you ever heard of magnetism, of mesmerism? These notions are actually very tightly connected to Adoevsky's stories, even to the city in the snuff box, which I am going to explain today, but maybe next time as well. The term mesmerism comes from the name of the doctor Franz Anton Mesmer, who was a doctor and the founder of so-called magnetism, a healing practice that was later transformed into hypnotism. Born in Germany in 1734, he studied at the University in Vienna and published his doctoral dissertation there. The fact that he emerged from the field of medicine was not accidental, since the concept of cosmic influences on the human body existed even before his time and was also elaborated by medical scientists. Before Mesmer's time, the British physician Richard Mead wrote about the gravitational influence of celestial bodies on human beings. Mead argued that just as the moon caused the seas to swell and recede with the tides, there was a corresponding monthly periodicity in the volume of the bodily humors, including venous and arterial blood. Mesmer used Mead's ideas as a foundation of his theory. He changed some definitions, such as animal gravitation to animal magnetism, and suggested that all physical processes in our bodies are governed by an invisible fluid that flows through the whole universe, as well as through the bodies of all living things. While claiming that any disease originates from obstacles encountered by this flow, Mesmer established a system of treatment, the goal of which was to smooth the obstacles by imposing a magnetic influence on his patients. In Austria, Mesmer practiced one-on-one sessions, and some elements of his technique were later recognized and adopted by specialists in hypnotic techniques. To transfer this healing current, Mesmer would sit with patients' legs squeezed between his knees, press their thumbs in his hands, and stare intensely into their eyes and stroke their limbs to manipulate their internal ether. In the Romantic literature, when talking about wizards and sorcerers manipulating their victims, writers often mention passes between the subject's head and heart, as well as the intense eye contact. Dostoevsky knew the proponents of mesmerism, including the ones in Russia. And I will talk a little bit more because this is the 19th century, so Mesmer was practicing mostly in 18th century, late 18th century, and Dostoevsky is from 1820s, 1830s, so completely different time, but still the ideas of Mesmer were extremely popular there. So again, I will leave it till next time so that I don't overload you with information, but just keep this in mind, okay? If we return to The Improvisator, a novella by Dostoevsky, we can see that he frames the act of magic into the mesmerist paradigm, and his wizard transfers this supernatural gift by pressing his hands against the young poet's head and heart. With these words, Sigeliel placed one hand on the poet's head and the other on his heart, and in the most solemn voice said, "Hereby I grant you the gift of the highest powers. You will be able to think about every single thing and read and comprehend everything in the world. And you will speak and write beautiful and simple, tearful and funny, in verse and prose, in warmth and frost, in real life and in dreams, on the table, on the sand, with knife and pen, with hand, with tongue, laughing and in tears, in all languages." Similarly to Mesmer, who transferred the healing currents into patient's body, the young man also acquires doctor's gift through the magnetic, or to put it more clearly, hypnotic contact. As I said in the beginning, the doctor's gift turns out to be a trap. But in what way? I will tell you more in the next episode, when we talk about the romantic obsession with the microscopic world and the idea of imposed clairvoyance. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Please do not forget to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. See you next time. Bye bye.